Hey everyone. So, have you ever stared at a massive, world-famous monument and just kind of wondered, what's the hidden story here? Well, today we are diving right into the fascinating secret history of one of the most famous figures on the entire planet, Lady Liberty.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to look at a grand French idea, how they engineered a giant, the crazy Atlantic journey, assembling the puzzle, and finally, the gateway to freedom.
Okay, so imagine standing right in front of this massive statue rising out of the water. You immediately think America, right? But what if I told you that America's biggest symbol wasn't actually American at all? It actually started as a dream in a totally different country.
Section 1. A grand French idea. Let's step back in time. As history students, you know it's always good to ground ourselves in a timeline. So our journey starts all the way back in the 1860s, right around the American Civil War, and takes us all the way up to her arrival in New York Harbor in 1885, and that grand unveiling in October of 1886. So back in the 1860s, there was this French political thinker named Édouard René de Laboulaye, and he had a truly grand vision. He was a huge fan of the United States' democratic values, so he actually proposed gifting America a monument. But you know, this wasn't going to be just some ordinary run-of-the-mill present. No way. This was meant to be a massive symbolic gesture to celebrate liberty itself and cement that really strong friendship between France and America. To actually bring this idea to life, they brought in this incredibly talented sculptor, Frederick Auguste Bartholdi. And he didn't just carve a random figure. Literally, every single detail had a specific purpose. He designed this grand woman representing liberty, holding a torch to symbolize enlightenment, literally lighting the way forward. And tucked in her other hand, a tablet engraved with July 4th, 1776. He hit the nail on the head right there, honoring the exact day America declared its independence. Section 2. Engineering a giant. Figuring out how to actually keep a statue this massive from just toppling over. Okay guys, here is an absolute historical Easter egg for you. To keep this giant stable, they needed some serious engineering brilliance. Enter Gustave Eiffel. Yep, the exact same guy who would later build the Eiffel Tower in Paris. He designed this totally ingenious internal iron framework. It's basically a super strong secret metal skeleton hiding right underneath her copper skin. And that framework is exactly what allows the statue to stand strong against the really fierce winds and harsh weather out in New York Harbor. Moving right along to Section 3, the Atlantic journey. How on earth do you move a giant metal woman across the ocean?
Well, to solve this absolute logistical nightmare, they came up with a pretty bold three-step plan. Now, it sounds simple, but it was incredibly complex to pull off. Step 1, you actually take the newly finished statue completely apart. Step 2, pack all those giant metal pieces into these heavy wooden crates. And step 3, ship the whole shebang across the unpredictable Atlantic Ocean.
And check out this number, 300. That is just mind-boggling. They had to carefully break this towering figure down into more than 300 individual pieces. I mean, just imagine being the person in the 1880s who had to keep track of all those parts on a tiny ship crossing a massive ocean.
Section 4. Assembling the puzzle. Let's see what happens when those pieces finally hit the States.
So in 1885, the crates actually made it safely across the water. They arrived at what we now call Liberty Island in New York Harbor. And this totally set the stage for one of the most unprecedented construction projects in American history.
Now the workers had to reassemble the entire monument piece by piece. Honestly, think of it like putting together the world's most stressful giant Lego set. It was this massive puzzle, one that required absolute precision, so much patience, and just pure determination from the crews as they slowly watched her rise up into the New York skyline.
All that unbelievable effort finally culminated on October 28, 1886. You can only imagine the excitement that day. Thousands of people gathered around, cheering at the top of their lungs, while President Grover Cleveland officially dedicated the statue. They dropped the covering, and the world finally got to see Lady Liberty in all her shining glory. Which brings us to Section 5, the gateway to freedom, because the story absolutely does not end with her construction.
See, over the years, the statue's meaning completely shifted. What started out as this beautiful gift celebrating French-American friendship evolved into something so much deeper. For millions of exhausted immigrants arriving by sea after these super long, terrifying journeys, this towering beacon of hope was literally the very first thing they saw of America.
Because of that experience, the statue earned a new nickname, the Gateway to Freedom. It became a living promise, a promise that no matter where you come from, you have the fundamental right to dream, to live freely,
and then just start over again.
Ultimately, the biggest takeaway from our explainer today is this timeless idea. Lady Liberty is not just a bunch of old copper and iron. She silently sends a really powerful message about universal human rights, that freedom belongs to everyone. She's still standing tall today, holding that torch high as a constant reminder to all of us.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought to ponder for your history classes. If your generation were tasked with building a brand new monument to represent freedom right now, today, what would it look like? What kind of symbols would you use? Definitely think about that and keep digging into the amazing stories hidden right beneath the surface of our history. Catch you next time.